Hey everybody, it is 2 o'clock here in Boston. Gabe, where are you at? Where are you at? I have
I'm at,
no idea.
yeah, good old Salt Lake City. It's
All right.
right at lunchtime, 12
All right. So
noon.
it's lunchtime, 12 noon in Salt Lake City. We're gonna get started. If you can't hear it in my nose, I got a little 64 people at Drift were sick and now I got it. So we're all good and we're gonna battle through it today. I'm really pumped because this is the first time we've done this with our friends at InsideSales.com, and we've been citing their data for a while, and now we're actually going to team up and talk about this thing together. So before I pass it over to Gabe, who's going to kick things off, just want everybody to do me a quick favor right now. Holy cow, there's a lot of people in here. Drop your name in chat and let us know where you're coming from. We want to shout you out. We want to see who's here and make sure you can hear us okay. So if you can hear me right now, put your name in chat. Like, I'm Dave, I'm in Boston. Put that in the chat box right now. What's up, Billy in Boulder? Nadine, Mark, and Tyler. You guys all watching on one computer in Alberta. Oh my goodness. Vincent, Seattle, London, Detroit, LA, Ukraine, Pennsylvania, Park City, Mars. That's not real. Atlanta, San Francisco, Philly, Bozeman, Montana, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Indy, Terry, who's just Terry, Josh in New York City, Tacoma, Washington, Hollywood, Florida, Sunnyvale. We got people from all over. This is amazing. It's why I love webinars. I do really love webinars because I think it's the closest thing to actually a one-to-one conversation. So I'm super excited. The audio is working. We're ready to rock. So Gabe, I'm going to kick it over to you and let's get it jumping.
Let's get going. So again, we're excited over here at Inside Sales to be partnering up with Drift. Guys, these guys have some killer technology, and I think we'll be talking a little bit about that today, but we are focusing in on one key concept, and that is why isn't your marketing leads converting like you want it to? Dave, we probably should go maybe just one step further into introductions, maybe just a little bit more about yourself, and then I'll take it. You mind going through
Sure.
that real quick?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dave, VP of Marketing at Drift. We are a software company based in Boston, and really, we're the thing that we're about is in every single aspect of life, you can talk to somebody in real time on demand, except in the B2B world, and that's the problem that we're solving. So we call that conversational marketing. We'll talk a lot more about that today. I spent the last 8 years of my career working just by happen to be this way at SaaS companies who sell to marketers. So I worked at Constant Contact, I worked at HubSpot, and I'm now at Drift. And so just kind of that's been my thread throughout the whole career. So I love doing this. I love talking about marketing. So I'm super excited that we're doing this together.
Yeah. So I'm Gabe Larson. You guys, I run what we call growth over here at InsideSales.com. That's kind of a marketing and sales combination. In Inside Sales, our tagline is we help people sell more with AI. It's a combination of sales applications to help build more pipeline and close more deals. The thing that I want to highlight the most on this, Dave, is Dave and I were having a little competition on which picture is best, and I'd love your guys' feedback. He tried to one-up me with his picture, so I went with my leather chair. I've got to have the better picture. I want to see it in chat or in Q&A. Who has the better picture in this slide, Dave or Gabe? And I'm putting my money on me.
What you can't see is the 16 cats that are surrounding the bottom of your chair right now.
That's right. That's
See,
right, man.
he's a defined better.
Divine better. That's right, man. Oh, Jason's. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, well, let's get cracking here. You can keep voting, but I can already tell. Oh, man, actually, you're getting some votes here. All right, we'll have to see how that tallies up.
You said that like it's a surprise. Of course, I'm getting some.
I thought the leather chair would just take it, but you win some, you lose some. So let's do this poll. We want to start here because we're going to be talking about lead response and the evolving space of that concept. And I want you to fill this out. We've got a couple hundred people on here. Vote, and then we'll go through it. Dave, I just want to ask you, as people are kind of putting that in, what are your thoughts on, I mean, you think most people are going to be over that 60 number? You think most are going to be under the 1 minute? Where do you think most people are going to end up here?
I think this is one of those polls where it's like you ask somebody how much they go to the gym and they tell you 5 days a week, but the actual numbers at the gym say like once or twice a week. So I don't know what the number is going to be, but I think we're going to dig into it later and show that the reality is a little bit different than the perception.
Yeah, I love your analogy. It's like, I think I go to the gym 5 times a week as well, but I just don't know if I do. So,
I think most people are going to be in the 5 to 30 bucket. I think that's what they're going to put. We'll dig into it.
5 to 30. Well, let's see how those results come out. As you can see
Whoa.
here,
Over
uh,
60. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, we got some stuff to talk about today. That's awesome.
over
Okay. It's
60.
awesome. It's not good. It's good for this webinar, but it's it's not actually good. But okay.
You sound, I mean, you sound surprised. I mean, well, I guess you thought it'd be in the 5 to 30. I should have put my guess. I probably would have put 5 to 30 as well. 32%, 1/3 of you over 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, let's get in and talk about it. Is that right? Is it wrong? When is it right? When is it wrong? I want to just set the context here, and then I'm going to go through some Q&A, together with Dave here. But this context setting, you guys, we've done a lot of research on this. For those of you who don't know, we did a landmark research in a full decade ago that Harvard Business Review picked up, lead response management, how fast you should respond. We've then followed that up multiple times. The latest time was just last year. We looked at almost 9,000 companies, 14,000 response audits, where we basically went onto people's websites and we found a way to contact them, filled out a form, and then tracked how fast they responded and with what methods, how many times, etc. And here's some of the results that we found from that study. So the average personalized response time was 38.35 hours. Now, you might be wondering, what do I mean by personalized? What I mean by personalized is we actually went through and made sure we got rid of all the email, anything that had a marketing email or was a long form or generic email. We wanted it to be personalized email or a personalized phone call. So that's what I mean by that 38 hours. Guys, that's basically me popping into a clothes store, walking up to the desk and saying, hey, can I buy something from you? And having them say, why don't you come back Friday and we'll see if we can handle that for you. That's the experience that the majority of people are going through. And again, I want to discuss and debate when that's right and when that's wrong, but overall, it's not good. It's just not good. Now, what is optimal? What does best practice look like? And we're going to talk about some of the exceptions. I get it that there's some exceptions, guys, but let's not always focus on the exceptions. Let's talk about the rule of thumb. The data is still saying sooner the better. We live in the world of instant gratification. We're millennials. We got Gen Z. We got Gen Y. We cannot be getting to people a day and a half later, especially when they're saying, I'm interested to talk. I want to buy. Contact me. Those are signals that have to be handled immediately. And you can see our data still pointing to the faster you get to them, and I'm talking minutes, you have two big things happening. One, your contact rate, your ability to connect, engage, and have a conversation, it jumps up nearly 100 times more if you get to someone under that 5-minute mark versus getting to somebody in 30, 45, even that hour mark where most of you guys are. The interesting thing, though, is your qualification. And this is one most people don't think about. And it was the reason Harvard picked this up originally. When you get to somebody fast, your qualification rates jump up 21 times. Now, qualification rates, go take a marketing class in college, and you're going to hear about the P's of marketing: price, placement, product, promotion, etc. You will not hear about speed as one of the reasons that people buy from you. And what I'm telling you right now is that if you get to people quickly, you can increase your qualification, which increases your buy rates. And it's something that psychologists are like, oh my goodness, that is something we don't teach in typical curriculum, but it's absolutely important. So that's number one, speed. Now, next that I want to talk about is this concept of persistency. We actually looked at what the average number of attempts were once someone does say, hey, I want to reach out and talk to you. The interesting thing, look at this dichotomy. You can see, and we just pulled this from Topo, great company out west here, does a lot of consulting. I love what they do. They ran just an opinion poll, and they said, on your inbound leads, how many times do you respond to people? Well, what sales development reps said was it was 15.5 on average.
Come on, this is what I just said. You don't even need data. This is the gym. This is reality. This is amazing. Okay.
Yeah, that's right, man. In fact, Dave's like, hey, speed it up. We already know people are failing it. But I thought it was interesting, Dave. I mean, it's 15.5. Now, we went with the median. If you look at the average, you guys, it jumps up just to about 5, so one more. But there were some real outliers, so I felt a little more comfortable with the median. But, guys, that's almost 3 times the difference in actuals versus what people are thinking. I mean, Dave, I want to give you 1 second on that. I mean, obviously it doesn't sound like you're too surprised, but should we be surprised?
Should we be surprised that what the perception is not the reality?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I think so. I think, but I think that's not a knock on any SDR or sales rep. I think it's just human psychology, which is like you think that you're doing something a lot, and so you kind of overestimate how much you're actually doing it. Whereas I think what happens is like you're probably working so many different leads. You're talking to somebody. I'm actually really funny. I'm getting text messages behind the scenes right now from David, our CEO, and one sales rep from this other company is trying to sell him really hard. And this guy he just commented on LinkedIn. He's on his Instagram commenting on his LinkedIn. He's on his Instagram. He's emailing him. He's tweeting at him, and that's why I just thought of this slide because I think like the persistence, especially when there's so much noise. Now, you and I as buyers, we hate when somebody does this if it's not a good fit, right? But if it is a good fit, I'm not going to I don't roll out of bed and want to buy B2B software. And so I think you do need that. So yeah, so my long answer, the short answer of my long-winded rant there is it's a little bit surprising that the discrepancy is this high, is that people would say 15 when in the reality it's about a third of that.
Well, and I think this is, and again, I want to get into the conversation because we've got someone here. It looks like Allison said, hey, this is interesting that you're correlating downloading to something from your website to I want to buy. And we're going to get into that, Allison, because look, not all leads are created equal. Now, for the study, we went to your most obvious website or the most obvious lead form to a contact us, a free trial, a demo, a buy now, and then made sure we put in the context, I'm very interested to buy, so that we could try to get across, we are interested, we do want it, we want you to talk to us. So know, Allison, that this was not a random, white paper on some random web page that maybe shouldn't be responded to immediately. These would what should be in your business considered really a lead. So, but I want to talk about the difference here in just a minute with Dave. Another good question came in, and it says, how do you think about managing leads with this response time, Gabe, that you're talking about over the weekend? And Dave, maybe I can throw that one to you. Thoughts on if I do have high priority leads and they are really valuable, like Gabe said, and they do deserve to be responded to quickly, how do I do that when no one's there?
Yeah, I mean, so Gabe mentioned AI in his beginning thing, but this is where bots have become a superpower for marketing and sales teams, because I think of that same question with like I could talk for hours about B2B, B2C, but like that's like that's like the same question, but like, well, what if I wanted to buy something from Amazon on a Saturday, right? They're open, of course, right? Or what if I want to go there at midnight tonight? They're open. So we use bots at Drift to do this because bots, unlike the rest of our team, they can work 24/7, 365. They don't get sick. They don't need to be trained. They don't take vacations. And so we use bots during the off hours to say, hey, we're not here right now, but why don't I book you a meeting for Monday when everyone's back on our team? I think, and to me, it's all about setting expectations, right? If it is 2 a.m. on a Saturday, I don't expect to go to your website and be able to talk to somebody if it's upfront saying like, hey, we're not here right now. Please leave a message and X, Y, and Z will happen after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right thing. And do we need to have a presence there, Allison? Probably. I mean, like he said, Amazon's always open, and you guys probably need to be able to engage with your customers when and where they are. And I think bots is coming on fast to do that. So let me finish up this piece on persistence. Most of our data says you should be in that 6 range. If you're following up with somebody, you want to be around that 6. Again, real high profile. You can move it up to 10, but we see a lot of distance between actual results if you just do it once or twice. And then if you bug them way too many times, again, you're getting into a different place. But again, make sure you understand these are your high priority leads. These are the customers who are saying, I want to talk to you. Please get me, contact me, etc. So know that that's kind of the difference that we're talking about here. So let's turn just a little bit and see if we can hit on some of these points, because we're getting blown up here, Dave, on some of the questions. And guys, please throw it in the Q&A or in that chat, because we want this to be as interactive as possible. But maybe let's start high level, Dave, and I'll hit you first. We've gone through the weeds a little bit on response time, but taking a step back, why is response time more important than ever?
Yeah. So response time is more important than ever because of this thing right here. We all like the smartphone. We're all connected in real time, 24/7, and that's reset the expectations for us as consumers. I can text my wife right now. I can text my friend right now. I can talk to Alex on my team right now via Slack. Everything that we do in real life, not B2B life. We'll get to there in a second. In real life is expected to be in real time on demand, right? And think about what you can do. You can order a car. I can get a hotel. I can get food. This all happens in real time. But then something weird happens in the B2B world, which is it doesn't work like that, which is I got to go wait 5 days to hear back from somebody on your team. Or if somebody's there on a weekend, I don't hear back. And so response time is more important than ever because we all expect to be connected in real time to our friends and family and coworkers. And so we have the same expectation of a business, especially. And on top of that, like, information is free now today. And so when I'm going to your website, I'm not just kind of casually browsing. Like I might just be browsing. I'm not ready to buy it, but I'm there for a reason. And oftentimes going to a website is the last place that you often go when you have a question today. I might read your blog. I might listen to your podcast. I might watch your videos. I might watch an on-demand webinar. I might see what people are saying on G2 Crowd or see what people are saying on your LinkedIn page or Twitter. And then I go to your website, right? And so the point is like, when people are actually on your website, they're there for a reason and they expect to hear back from you. They don't expect the same way. 10 years ago, there wasn't as much competition. And so companies could have all the power and they could say, hey, you want to buy from InsideSales.com? Great. Put your email in here and we'll get back to you when we're ready. Right.
Yeah,
But
totally.
today, consumers, we have all the power. And so I know this is what keeps me up at night as a marketer is like, I know that if somebody comes to our website and they don't get what they need, they're going to go to Google and they're going to punch in Drift Alternative or Drift Competitors. And within 2 seconds, they're going to find somebody else that they can buy from. And so it's all about matching. Like we all expect this in real time. And I explain this all the time and everybody nods along, right? But then I say, but then we all go to our jobs in marketing and sales in the B2B world. And then what do you do? And then everybody's like, oh yeah, we do those things. And so another topic that I'm really passionate about that I think this is all related to is like, I actually think like B2B is going away. There is no B2B. There is no B2C. Like we're all people and you need to market and sell to people. And people say to me all the time, like, yeah, but Dave, I get what you're saying, but like we sell to really large enterprises. And I'm like, do people not work at really large enterprises? Like we are all people. So
I
response
love
time
it.
is more important than ever today because we all expect to be connected in real time and get answers in real time today.
Yeah, man, I love it. There was a Forrester. I almost wish I had the quote. I was talking with the head of research at Forrester, and he called it like the consumerization of the B2B customer. And just like you said, it's like we all buy on Amazon. And so when we go to a B2B experience, we're expecting something like that. Yet, for some reason, we're not doing it. And I don't want to go too much into this, but I do want to get your quick opinion. Like, why do we go back to work,
Yeah.
Dave, and
Yeah.
just kind of go, I know,
Because
Dave, that was a good idea, but honestly, those enterprise companies, they don't put their pants on one leg at a
yeah,
time. They're
because
different.
so the honest answer, like people are gonna roll their eyes at this because I work at Drift, but like the honest answer is like because there hasn't been a better way, right? And so companies have been afraid to give up the power, and I feel this too. I'm a marketer who gets measured by how many leads I generate, right? And so nobody cares. I can go do all these webinars and talk about this fluffy stuff, feelings and emotions and consumer behavior, but like if I don't generate leads, I'm not gonna get a raise. I'm not gonna get a promotion. So but until now, companies haven't been able to do that. And so what they've had to do is they've had to control the buying process. And so the reason that gated content and lead forms and the automated emails and all that stuff existed was because companies needed to control it. They say, hey, whoa, 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 it's 8 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. I can't talk to you. We're not here right now. So
Right.
fill this thing out and come back to me. And so, but if you look at there's a really good history lesson, which is like if you look at all of the highest valued companies ever, the Apple, the Amazons, the Walmart, they all had one thing in common, and that's they prioritize the customer experience over everything else. And so today as a business, you have to prioritize the customer experience. And finally, the tools in marketing and sales are catching up to do that. Like it is crazy that most of the tools in marketing and sales they incentivize the users of those products, the marketers and sales reps, to send mass email, to cold call, to fill out forms. When if I asked anybody on this webinar in their personal lives, do you answer cold calls? What are they all going to say? No. Do you respond to cold emails? What are they all going to say? No. Do you fill out forms? I try to avoid them. And so like this is all coming together now, and technology has gotten good enough where you can still generate leads as a marketer or a salesperson, right? But let the potential customer do it on their terms, and you can still get the full measurability of it and trackability.
Yeah, I love it. So some good questions coming in. Mark, you've got a good question. Bob, I'm going to get to that in a minute because I think we're going to hit there because I think some of these questions we'll dive into it. So let's hit question 2, Dave, and then I'm going to hit a couple of these questions in the Q&A box. Thoughts on this concept? Should every lead be responded to under 5 minutes? I mean, we basically were getting kind of blown up about this a few minutes ago. Like, wait a minute, what about this type of lead or that type of lead? And maybe we can't do it, et cetera. How do you answer that question when someone says, should I or should I not do it in this kind of quote unquote best practice?
Yeah, I mean, so the honest answer is I have no idea because it's unique. It's unique. It has to be unique to your business, right? Like I think
Yeah.
one of the other crutches that we have in this marketing and sales world is like we just take everybody's advice verbatim. And so if we say the best time to send an email is 2:08 p.m., everyone would run off this webinar and go send an email at 2:08 p.m. And so like I think it's more important. Like we're using this webinar as just to get a conversation started about like we need to behave. We need to be interacting with people in real time. And so the 5-minute thing, I have no idea. Maybe it's 10 minutes for your business. Maybe it's 2 minutes. But we all know, like, I know that our sales team, I could tell them I generated 10,000 leads this month, but they don't care because they know that all leads are not equal. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think my criteria for this would be like, should every lead be responded to in under 5 minutes? Probably no. But what are the leads that you care the most about?
Yeah.
From a business perspective, what are the ones that are, so if we have leads that are going to close 2, 3, 4, 5x as much as other leads, then of course those are the ones that we want people reaching out to right away. And then maybe you automate the other ones. And so maybe everyone gets a touch with under 5 minutes, but for some of them it's just an automated kickback email that says, hey, it's Dave, when do you want to chat? Here's my calendar for later. Whereas like the really cream in the crop, the A+ leads, those are being surfaced right now to actually talk to somebody in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I would probably answer this too, Dave. Like, no, the answer probably is no. Not every lead should be responded to. But I want to give you just a couple quick examples that I ran into fairly recent that I think kind of cement this. I was at a company in Austin, and they're getting about 35,000 inbound lead forms a month, and they've got 13 people to respond to those. And so, they kind of looked at me and said, Gabe, your research, it says 5 minutes, and we just can't do it. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. So let's do what Dave just said. Let's pick out the ones that are absolutely buying signals, and let's find a way to manage the others. And I'll tell you right now, they did not respond to all 35,000 immediately. Now, flip side, I'm in New York probably in November, and I'm with a company that's getting 13 to 15 inbound leads a month. Their sales team is starving, and marketing is telling them, no, we got to nurture stuff. These leads aren't ready. They're just not ready. We've got to make sure we get them warm, and the sales team's dying. And so, to them, I said, guys, come on, let's find the balance here. Why don't you respond to those 13 immediately? They're better than nothing. And the sales team says they're not getting anything in their pipeline. So
I think that's a really important point, because I think one thing that we've noticed since we got rid of our lead forms and we talk to everybody that comes to our website is you can actually, people who might not have been leads become leads, because there's somebody who might not have filled out a form, but they come in and they're like, hey, I have a question. If they have a question, where would that have gone in the form world before? So they come in, they say, I have a question. Next thing you know, somebody on your team is actually talking to them, and they're like, because people always have these preconceived notions. They're like, oh, I assumed that this was too expensive and you didn't integrate with Slack, so I'm not going to do anything. And then somebody's like, no, we do. Here's a help doc. And then all of a sudden they're having a conversation, and it's really the same thing that would happen if you were in store. Like if I walked into your brick and mortar store and I was like, hey, do you have these in a 9.5? And they're like, no, we don't. But I actually think you'll really like these. They're actually more comfortable. People like these more. And I'm like, so you just flipped me from going from somebody who wasn't ready to buy to somebody who was. And we see the same thing happen over and over and over on people's websites.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. You can kind of flip them from one place to another. One thing that's being popped a couple times in here, Dave, in the Q&A box, and I don't mean, there's these questions, guys, that are awesome, so keep them coming. Bob says, what about letting a prospect consume/digest the content they access before, and I quote, getting in their face? I think this probably goes back. Well, Dave, you want to take a quick stab, or what would be your initial reaction to that coming from Bob?
Which question was it? From
So he
Bob?
said, yeah, he
Sorry,
says here,
sorry. There's 700 of them. This is a lot. This is awesome.
what
Um,
about letting a prospect consume, digest the content they access before getting in their face?
yeah, I would hope that would be the case. Like that to me seems like what everybody should be doing. Like I think nobody like look, there's a balance which is like we've all been on those we've all been in those stores where like the second you walk in, somebody's like, boom, hey Gabe, how can I help you? And you're like, dude, I haven't even done anything yet. Like give me a second, right? And like sometimes you just want to browse. And so I think like I just try to take that mental model and always apply it to the website, which is like, do you want to smother somebody at the same time? Uh, but I think it's like, it's more just like what page are they on? If it's somebody that's browsing our pricing page and has been on there for a minute, then that's a different conversation than somebody who just is reading our blog
that's right.
or on the homepage. I think like the context piece of it is everything.
Yeah, and I find this to be an interesting balance, Bob. It's like, you know, God, it's sometimes we as humans, we don't want something like, there's a good stat out there that says about 70% of people don't want to go to the doctor every year. And I remember reading that and thinking, my goodness, if only these people knew how important it was to get their daily checkup, they'd realize they need to do it more often. And I think sometimes in sales, and there's a balance here, but nobody wants to talk to a salesperson. I know that. I run marketing. I get it. I don't want to take the cold call, but if they knew how valuable your product was, Bob, they would want to talk to you. And so I like Dave's statement of, if they download a pricing document and they're all over it, they may not want to talk to you, but honestly, you've got something they need and you're going to change their life. And I'd probably go, I'm a more aggressive person. I'd probably get them. They're on the blog and they're I don't know, maybe not. So I don't know if there's always an answer, but be careful, because I think sometimes we believe people download our ebooks and read the whole thing. Good data out there says that they just skim it. They actually don't read the whole thing. They're looking they got a problem. They need an answer, Bob. And I think you're the answer. Are you going to give it to them, or are you going to give them 3 days before you get on the tail? So be cautious, but know that they've got something that you need. And I think there's sometimes a reason to do it, right?
Amen.
All right, let's continue on here. Woo! Man, I want to keep going on some of these questions, guys. Keep them coming. So will customers be freaked out with quick response times? I think this is a good follow-up to Bob's, because I think if you respond, and again, Dave, I'll be interested on your opinion, whether you pop a chat bot, or, if with us, you hit them with a phone call or some sort of email fairly quickly. Are they mad about it? Are they freaked out? What's your 2 cents?
I'm just looking at Dan, who's in chat right now. He said, I spoke with a Drift sales rep the other night, literally 10 p.m. And it surprised me that the rep said, hey, Daniel, and engaged me, starting a great conversation. So my answer would probably be no. It depends. Like, I think this is what screwed up about marketing and sales is like, question is asking like, are potential customers going to get mad if somebody actually responds to me while I'm on their website, right? Which is like, no sale has ever happened in life until a conversation
Right,
has started. And so I think like part of us doing this webinar is like, we need to take a step back, and our mission is to recondition everybody and say, hold on, we've gone from this like push world in marketing and sales to like, it should be about having conversations, right? Like, Gabe, like I know for your team, like don't you want your sales, like if somebody's live in your store, if the InsideSales.com website is a brick and mortar store and somebody's in there, you're going to be okay if your team is like, no, I don't want to talk to him. That guy's going to get freaked out if I say hello.
That's for, well, and the thing I've loved, Dave, working with you guys is the concept of brick and mortar. It's like, I actually think there's a lot of applicability. Someone walks in, I hate it when I walk in and someone says, how you doing? And I'm like, good. Can I help you with anything? And I'm like, no, I just walked in. But I promise you, when I walk in and someone approaches me with an interesting conversation and says, oh my goodness, look at those shoes you're wearing. We just got something over here. I got to show you real quick. If it's an engaging piece, I love it, because guess what, Dave? I walked in the store because I got a problem. Totally. I want to be helped.
Or like there's always like the section in the store that's like the confused, like this happens to me all the time. Like it was like this Christmas, I'm at Lululemon trying to get my wife like a hoodie and some new pants. And I'm looking over there and like the woman who was working in the store, she just knew that I needed help because I'm in a section that I never go. It's not the guys section. I'm in the girls section. I'm looking at the
Yeah, that's
pants.
right.
And I must have had this look on my face, and she came up to me and she's like, "Do you need some help?" And I was like, "Yes, I never thought you'd ask." And so I think that's like,
There is a mix. There's a
it seems
balance
silly,
there,
but
right?
it seems silly, but that's the example, right? Like, where was I in the store and what was I doing? And the same thing can be applied to what's happening on your website.
So I love this, Daniel hits this. Daniel, I appreciate this, right? He's like, look, for me, it is often how I get approached or how we approach others. I hate the, hey, DJ, how's the weather in Boston versus, something that's actually engaging. That I think that makes a big difference. So I appreciate that backing, Daniel. Guys, one thing I'd say to this, we've now done over 200,000 of these quote unquote response audits. That's a fairly large number. Every time we do the study, we follow up with participants who've done it, and we just have a qualitative conversation. I could show you the transcripts, but I promise you, the word when you respond in a meaningful way, quickly, the biggest word we see is wow. Wow, these guys hustle. Wow, these guys are fast. Wow, is this the type of business these guys are going to provide? Is this the type of support these guys are going to provide? I don't, get me wrong. There's always a bad apple. There's always going to be somebody who says, "Are you the NSA? You just popped the chat on me, or you just called me." But I promise, for 1 out of every 10 bad apples, there's 9 people that say, "I want to actually do business with people who care what I care about," and that is, putting the customer first. All right, let's keep going here. How do you balance personalization versus response time? I mean, well, maybe this is a larger conversation about prospecting in general, but thoughts on this one, Dave, especially in your guys' world. Is there a way to personalize things, or does it come off as being too fake
Yeah.
because, it's chat bot and maybe it isn't a real
Well,
person
it's funny. I
sometimes?
was going to ask you about I was going to ask you about outbound, but I'll go first, and then we should talk about outbound stuff. Because I think there's something interesting there. But I think the balance between personalization and response time, it depends on what it is. So like again, back to the point earlier, like the technology's gotten so good where you can personalize it uh automatically. It's just going to happen. So it's be like, I know what company you're at based on the IP address or what page you're on the website. And so we can personalize the message that. But I also prioritize response time over personalization because I think we've also become a little bit numb to personalization on the internet. We all know that, like, hello first name works in an email, or we can pull in the company name into chat, on somebody's website. And so I think that the personalization is helpful. And Guillaume, who's our VP of growth and very technical, much more technical than me, he would probably disagree and talk more about personalization. But to me, if they're on our website, I'm prioritizing response time and letting them know that somebody's there versus like, "Hey, I know this is Gabe from Inside Sales."
Yeah. I mean, I actually appreciate that, because I feel like the personalization concept can be taken too far. We've been tracking sometimes, and we've got sales development reps doing an average of 15 minutes per outreach on inbound leads that they're trying to figure out all the ifs and whats and whys of someone who just said, I just want to know what your pricing is. And, maybe the answer is to put pricing on your page, but I don't know. Do we really need 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes per call to try to get it personalized? So I can appreciate that. Dave, you said you may have a question on outbound. I'd love to try to tackle that before I kind of give you my spiel on this.
Okay, so it's like it's probably half an opinion and half a question. So my theory is that to be really successful with outbound, you have to put in the work and do your research. So I wonder, like, maybe you have some other thoughts on that? But like, I know that if you're gonna just send a batch of 3,000 outbound emails, the success rate might not be great. Whereas if you're gonna spend time to do, 10 to these particular people and actually have something to say to me, then the chance of me getting to respond goes way up. But I don't know that much about the outbound, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, and we've got a couple people mentioning this, kind of on outbound. It's probably worth touching on it here. We've got another question of that maybe we'll go a little deeper on. If you're really running kind of an outbound or account-based model, how do you think about all the things we're talking about, response time included as part of that? But let me hit this. As you think about outbound, you guys, one of the interesting things we've been tracking in our research is there's a huge difference in personalization between phone personalization and email personalization. One of the most successful plays my reps run when they prospect is literally on the phone. They do a cold call, zero research. And I know I'm going to get some tomatoes on this, zero research. And they literally get on the phone and they do the upfront contract where they say, hey, John, I know you run marketing. I literally want to take 30 seconds, tell you what we do. If you like it, great. If not, I'm out. And that upfront contract with literally zero research kills it. Now, is that the right way to always do it? Have we found options other than that personalization on the phone? Absolutely. That's a phone thing. When it comes to email, you don't have the luxury. If you're going outbound, certainly you can try to do mass blasts, and there's always a place for that, especially in the smaller segments, the B2C kind of world. But if you're going targeted outbound, there's a whole, I'm amazed that we don't teach this in sales and marketing. There's a whole language to talk to CEOs. No, it's never taught. Email writing skills for getting busy decision makers. And Dave, to your point, I think it's right. You'd be spending 5-10 minutes on an email potentially per contact if you're running a true, account-based model. So that'd be my quick thoughts on that. Can we keep going, Dave, or any quick thoughts on summarizing there?
No, keep going.
All right, man, there's too many questions. I'm going to hit these guys, I promise.
I don't know what you guys did, but I've never seen this many good questions on a webinar. So.
How should organizations think about response time in an account-based model? Now, this is good. This is, Mark, I'm getting to your question here because Mark said, I don't get leads, but instead get notifications that a client has clicked on a link. Okay. How should I handle this? Dave, let's get into account-based. What's your thoughts on this?
Okay, let me read this question again. How should organizations think about response time in an account-based model? Here's my answer: 24/7, 365, wherever you are. Because if you think about this is the one that I don't understand, right? Which is like, what's the whole point of ABM is you're shrinking down the universe of companies and you're saying, these are my, I love the Chet Holmes Ultimate Sales Machine book. He has like
don't tell me that book, man. I love
come on. They don't want marketers reading the sales books. They don't want marketers reading the sales.
Shoot, man. You got to bring that up. I love it.
So in the book, he talks about the dream 100, right? Which is like everybody has their dream 100. Yeah. So this was like ABM before everybody was talking about ABM. This was 2007.
Right.
And so if you think about ABM in that world, let's just say, just like I know everybody has segmentation, this and that. Let's just say every business has 100 dream accounts. Would you not want to know, flashing red alert, lights off in the, a siren or a call, like, would you not want to know when that person was in your store? And so that's why I actually think about the real-time response stuff is even more important from an ABM model, because back to the earlier question, which was like, which leads should I respond to right away? Well, to me, it's the account-based ones. And so we did something in Drift where we built it in. So like if you're a rep and you can get push notifications on your phone when a target account's on your website. And the reason why is because people just said, look, I don't care who else comes. I need to know if the VP of marketing at Lyft, if she's on my website, I need to know. And that's exactly why, like, response time for an ABM model, that's all I would think about is 24/7, who's on my website. And I even give the same answer to people who say, Dave, I don't have a lot of website traffic. Well, then I would be talking to every single person that comes into that store, right? If you're the new store on the block and you don't have a lot of traffic, you should be out there talking to every single person who comes in.
Yeah, guys, there's a good question from, they're listed as Room, ROOMC. Is that Room? Either way, their question was about.
It's a famous rapper, Room MC. Very good. You should check it out.
Room MC. I'm like, what are you doing, Room MC? Conversations about best practices in kind of account-based market. I do think that's a different topic, but I think David hit on an important point. When it comes to account-based marketing, you guys, a couple things I'd just say. Boy, Dave nailed it. One is, you need to know if people are thinking about you. If they're on your website, they're engaging with you, you sure as heck better know that. Outside of that, I would also say there's great products out there, Bombora, Big Willow, where you can actually know if they're thinking about you on other sites outside of your website. In addition to that, you want to be targeting the right Dream 100. I think, like Dave said, when you know you're going after the right accounts, the ones who are actually thinking about you, I think you've got a good, solid starting place for account base. And then I think one thing I'd add to what Dave said is, when we do our outbound targeting, this is really a place, and I take this a little bit from Drift. We've said forms don't matter. It's very, we know who these people are. We don't need them to fill out a form. And Mark, I think this is where you were going. So we start to look at engagement pieces as ways that we may then want to get more aggressive with them. So one would be, man, if we did send them an email and they've downloaded it and they've forwarded it to somebody in their organization, maybe that's a trigger for you to do something more aggressive. Maybe they click on a button, they pop to your website to chat. Maybe they download that and they're then ready to deserve a phone call or a follow-up email because they've engaged with you. So you don't have the inbound lead form, but you have activity or interaction that deserves something else. And again, what is that something else in your business? Sometimes I like to be really aggressive and pop a phone call. Sometimes I like them to initiate it. And again, they click on a button and maybe they're on your website and they're chatting with you, but you got to find that balance. But in an account-based world, yes, the answer is response time matters, but know that it may not always be your typical thing like a web form. Maybe it is a different type of interaction. Cool. Okay. Hopefully Mark, Room MC, Nelson, we got some of those questions answered for you guys. Guys, we're getting close to wrapping it up here. Last two. Why do companies, Dave, not respond quickly to inbound leads? We touched on this a little bit at first, but maybe this is a good way to start wrapping.
I have no idea. No, the answer is because they're probably not built. They're probably not built to handle real time. The analogy that I use a lot is like, here's the craziest thing is like people want the new results, but they want to do it the old way. And so like you can't go walk out. I can't leave this room right now and go walk out to the side of the road and call and like wave my hand and get an Uber, right? Like I have to pull up my phone and use the app. And so like you have to think about the new way. You have to model your business and your go-to-market strategy on the new way that people are doing this. And so the reason companies don't respond quickly to leads is because they're just not built to do it. They're built for a world that doesn't allow them to actually do it. So I think number one is like enabling your business to start working some of these real-time conversations. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I do just think number one, people aren't understanding the problem, right? And again, I don't know if this is the best way to sum up your initial your comment, Dave, but the consumerization of the B2B customer, it has changed. If you don't think this is a big problem, you're out in left field. So number one, I don't know if we've understood that it's a big enough problem because there are tools to solve this problem, but until you feel it, until you've experienced it yourself, I mean, I guess that's one of the reasons we're doing this webinar. We got to get the word out that things have changed and you got to start thinking things differently. And honestly, put it out for a test. Try it out for a month. Try to respond quickly. Do a chat. See if you can put that to trial. And I promise you, do a real A/B split test. You'll see the numbers change. Okay, wrapping. What should you do once you've responded to inbound leads quickly? What should you do once you've responded to inbound leads quickly? Let me take this one, David.
Take it. I was going to say profit.
Yeah, get your quick opinion. You should make money off them. No, guys, this goes into the conversation of your follow-up strategy. And this is probably a good way, again, to kind of bring this thing to a close, because know that obviously response time, like everything, it is one piece of the sales process. You've got to make sure you cradle that relationship going forward. That's going to potentially be future conversations. It may be a good follow-up strategy. We talked about following up on leads, right? Most people are responding, just with a couple attempts. We believe you should maybe go a little bit deeper, especially if they're a high-value lead. So I think the short and sweet on this is just make sure that it's not just about quick response time, that you have a good follow-up strategy, or you nurture this relationship in one way or another going forward. Dave, any quick thoughts on this one?
No, I think you nailed it. I totally agree.
So guys, I know we're a little over time. I love the topic. I really appreciate the questions. I'm seeing I think Dave, we probably answered most of them that came in, which is more fun for me to do it right in the middle. We've got, we're certainly over a little bit on time, but if you've got some extra questions, throw them in the Q&A, throw them in the chat bot. While you do that, I want to throw one thing out here, you guys, and that is, I'd love to do a test for you. I'd love to say, hey, go to this website right here down below. and we run a free audit for you. It's called www.responseaudit.com. We've created these fake entities, fake companies, real websites, real email addresses, real phone numbers. We'll pop on your website and we'll go through a customer experience for you, whether that's through your chat program currently, whether it's through your lead form, we'll go through it. And then we will report back to you how well you did and benchmark you again against 200,000 other people who have gone through it. So take me up on that. I dare you. Couple questions, Dave, and then we can close it down here. A lot of people asking just about chat, and obviously you guys do this, and I want to kind of throw out a watermelon. Why do people, why should they be thinking about chat when it comes to response time? I want to give that one to you and see if you can kind of just bring us to the end here.
Yeah, I think chat is the thing that basically just shortens the gap. It's a direct line to the people that are in your store, on your website. I think we use chat because I don't know if it could be email. Like, I think what happened was email was the only channel that we had. And so everybody started to use email as a real-time channel when it wasn't. And so if I'm trying to meet with Alex and I email her and I say, hey, are you free? She might not see that email for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours. Whereas like,
Right.
I know somebody's on my website and I can hop in and talk with them right now. So I think chat is, it's the real-time communication. I think of it as it's a messenger on your website, right? It's the same ability to text, send a Slack message, all that live on your site.
And I think this question from Tom's a good one here as well, Dave. Maybe you and I can both put into it. Which is better? Is it better to have just chat? Is it better to just have phone? Is it better to just have email? And Tom, I think your question brings up something important, and this definitely applies to outbound prospecting as well. So I'm going to answer it using that analogy. When it comes to outbound prospecting, don't be an email marketer. Don't be just a social seller. Don't be just a cold caller. Guys, in business today, you've got to meet your customers where they are. I think there's absolutely a place for chat. We use it on our website. Do we throw out the phone completely and not ever call our customer? No, we wouldn't do that. Do we throw out email? No, we don't. Do we throw out direct mailer? No, we absolutely do. So, Tom, I think there's absolutely a place for each of these, and it's about finding where your customers are and potentially doing more of it. Dave, what would you say to that question? Is there one piece that is better than the other?
No, I think you got to be everywhere. And look, I'll be honest, if you're a business that says people don't chat, okay, well then you don't have to use it. I think it's all about understanding what your customers want. And today it's more important to be available across all those places. People want the social media channels. They want email. They want chat on your website. So I think you nailed it, Gabe, which is like, you got to be wherever they are, and just think about yourself as a consumer. Don't think about this mythical customer thing in your head. What do you do as a consumer? I always just try to like reverse engineer that for our buying process.
Yeah, that is. Just start with yourself and go from there. So, guys, I really appreciate the questions. Dave and team, really appreciate the partnership. Love what you guys are doing over at Drift. I'm seeing you guys everywhere. Closing remarks or summary statements from you, Dave?
No, I think you killed it. This was a lot of fun. I can just tell by the engagement, most webinars don't go like this. Super engaged audience. So thanks for thinking of us. Happy to do it together. And, hopefully we can continue to surface this conversation about responding to leads in real time.
Awesome, you guys. Well, hey, thanks everybody. Have a fantastic day.